When it comes to saving lives, rescuers go wherever they're needed, but sometimes that turns out to be dangerous. In Nashville, Tennessee, paramedic Maurice Tidwell and his partner James Pollard thought they were prepared for any emergency until April 13th, 1988.
About 2 a.m., we received a call to go to Tennessee State Prison.
We didn't think anything of it because we went out there quite a bit. We get on the prison grounds like we normally do, go through a guard shack that's out near the highway, and he motions for us to go through, which is normal.
We proceeded to checkpoint 1. That's the point where we go and pick up a guard to go inside the walls of the compound because we have to be escorted inside there. Normally, we have to wait to get a guard there, anywhere from 5 to 10, 15 minutes, depending on what the problem is. That particular night, there was one standing in the parking lot waiting on us. We proceeded around to the vehicle gate, which is around the side of the compound. The guard got out of the ambulance, put his weapon in a bucket, and it was raised into the tower. They don't take their weapons inside the walls with them. At that point, the ambulance goes into what they call a vehicle trap. There's 2 gates. They open one, you pull in, they shut it, and then you're in between the 2 locked gates where they do a search of the ambulance. That particular night, we came up to the vehicle gate. Both gates were open. We were flagged on through. The ambulance was not stopped in the trap. It wasn't searched. Everyone was in such a hurry, it gave you the impression that one of the guards was hurt or sick real bad. We entered in through the front door of that infirmary, which is electronically controlled. There's never a guard at that point except the one that comes in with us. Once we got to the treatment room, we walked in and there's one man, Mr. Corley, who's in the wheelchair. Beside him is the nurse that's in the infirmary.
I gave the first ambulance attendant vital signs that was unreal. He looked at me because he realized, hey, this man shouldn't be living with this kind of bogus information.
So your chest is hurting you?
Yeah. Listen up. Get up. We go into the ambulance. We're going to act like nothing's wrong. And if you blow it, everybody's going to die. I'll kill everybody in here. Get that stretcher over here now.
The uncertainty of what the next action was going to be led everyone to be on edge.
Sit down now. Don't touch me, man. Don't touch me.
Just trying to help.
During a previous escape attempt, Corley had been shot and paralyzed when he killed a hostage.
Just step over here, Bone.
When the gun's stuck to your head, you know that there's a crazy man that's holding it. You don't know if you're going to live the next minute. You don't know if you're going to see daylight.
Better keep it cool. Just walk in the park. All right.
Take it easy.
You take it easy.
The second inmate, Mr. Driver, said that he was going as well. And if any questions were asked of why he was going out, that we were to tell him that he was going to help load the patient.
Both prisoners were convicted murderers, serving life sentences in the maximum security prison.
We passed one guard on the way, which did not question why we had 2 inmates and the nurse going out with us, which is not standard procedures. We only transport one person at a time, and prison personnel, the only one that goes with us is the guard. We never take medical personnel with us.
Corley was someone that you feared. Corley was a murderer the 3rd time. He didn't have anything to lose, and he told me he didn't have anything to lose. And I knew he didn't have anything to lose.
I knew that we were in trouble, and there was a real danger for our lives there, but I didn't anticipate ever getting past the checkpoint.
Get in, everybody, in!
My partner was directed to get up front and drive. Myself, the nurse, and the guard were directed to get into the back of the ambulance. And the second inmate got in and sat down in the floor of the ambulance and covered himself up with the fire coat that I had in the back. We're headed back to the vehicle entrapment area. Normally we are locked down again between two gates. That night, none of that took place. They did not search the vehicle. They didn't ask for the transfer papers. They did no ID verification with the supposed patient, nor did they even look in. Had they even looked in, they would have seen that there was someone else sitting on the floor covered up under a coat. My partner started to drive off. Mr. Corley hollered at him to stop and do everything just like you always do. The guard got out of the back, went over to the tower area where the guard in the tower lowered his weapon in the bucket. When he got in, he handed it to Corley, and Corley turned around and gave it to Driver, which gave both of them the weapon.
Come on, go!
Once we got outside the trap, they had two weapons. Then the fear started setting in. I felt that they would do anything that they had to do to keep from going back.
Think about slowing down, you understand?
There was a guard out next to the shack at the highway that stepped out into the street in an attempt to stop the ambulance.
Come on, go! Right through! Captain, I couldn't stop him, man.
It had been only a few minutes since two convicted murderers hijacked an ambulance and escaped from prison with a paramedic, an EMT, a nurse, and a guard held hostage. The police had no idea where they were heading.
Attention all cars, we've got a report ambulance number 19 has been hijacked from the main prison. Two prison escapees have taken 4 hostages. These subjects are armed and dangerous.
I was sitting on the side of the interstate. There was a possibility that the ambulance that was taken would come that way.
Patrolman Michael Franks had heard about the escape on his police radio.
Just a few minutes after I was there, the ambulance did come by me, and I fell in behind them.
We got somebody coming up behind us.
What is it, man?
I have the ambulance inside.
We got cops. We're coming around on your side.
I just watched for a few minutes, then pulled up the side to see if it could be the ambulance.
Well, be cool, man. Just be cool.
When I pulled up to the driver's door, at that point I noticed that the passenger did have a pistol. I pointed at the driver.
It's on your side. Look.
I see him.
At this point, I just pulled back behind the ambulance and followed it, waiting for other cars so they could assist and stop.
I doubted very seriously that I would ever go back home again. I felt that one of us would be killed. Who it would be to start with, I don't know.
We got a couple of miles out the interstate and several other cars joined us. You know that you have to stop the ambulance. You're not going to solve anything by letting it leave the county.
Come on, hit him! Hit him! Back there.
They're going to mess this
Hit him! Right, man! Get him out here! Get him out here!
As I went in front of them, the car that was right behind me pulled up beside them on the driver's side. And we had 2 patrol cars in the rear. We boxed them in at that point.
Things became so chaotic in the back that I felt they were going to kill us. The inmates were waving their weapons around, threatening to shoot people.
We started easing them over to the right side of the road. We just brought him to a slow stop by just slowing our cars down gradually. We contained them in the ambulance. The 2 that took the hostages have full control over everything.
What are you doing?
Watch yourself, Bible. Watch yourself.
I'm watching.
Boom, put some tape on the window. Cover the window.
Corley said he wanted the windows covered up.
He did not want the police officer to see how we were positioned inside that ambulance. I was shaking, so I couldn't really tear the tape off. He had me positioned between him and the window so that if any bullet should come through that window, it would hit me and not him.
Hurry up! Hurry up!
I left a little corner so that I could see out.
Once we contained him in the vehicle, Lieutenant Castleman and several other officers started arriving.
This is Lieutenant Castleman, Police Department. Who am I talking to? Paramedic Tidwell. Okay, well, what do they want? They want the PD to get out of the way and let us take them down the road a piece. Then they will let us out. But they will not at this point. They are holding us hostage at this point. Okay, I don't have the authority to do that. I've got the people that do have the authority en route.
Captain Tom Dozier was the assistant team commander of the Nashville Police Department SWAT operations that night.
I responded to the interstate where the ambulance had been stopped by the patrol division. As the team arrived, the team leaders were called into the SWAT van.
Lieutenant Ken Pence was the entry team leader.
It's an unusual situation because of the extreme violence potential, the likelihood that the people were going to get killed inside, that they were going to start killing hostages.
They were not your ordinary citizen. They had made the decision to escape from penitentiary, and they were on their way until the police department stopped them. Once we found out the entire situation, then we deployed our SWAT team in units. One unit is a gas team, one is a sniper team, and one is an entry team.
Gas team will go with each sniper man, and once your entry team has closed the rear door as you can, if we need that key, use it. Go.
We had a duplicate key, so we practiced opening the door on a duplicate ambulance. Do you know which way the key turns? Because a half a second turning a key could mean someone's life.
The reason we could not use gas or didn't even think about it was the tanks of oxygen inside. We shoot gas, it sets something on fire, you blow up, you kill everybody in the ambulance.
This was a tricky situation because the snipers had to worry about not having any of the hostages in line with the line of fire.
The standoff had already been going on for half an hour when hostage negotiator Sergeant Nancy Fielder arrived on the scene.
We work as a team because we consult each other. We call it a think tank. We use one primary negotiator. I played that part on this particular call, but it's a team effort.
If we don't move the police car and get out of the way and let them go on their own, we've got it surrounded.
Nobody's hurt it this time?
Negotiators are in charge of the situation.
Okay, ask him to pick up the mic and talk to me for a minute, please. He said to back the cars up and move them away from us. He's not going to get on the mic. Tell him we don't want to get anybody hurt, that, we want to resolve this situation, and the best thing they can do is just to come out now, and, everything's going to be okay. Nobody's going to be hurt. He said that everybody in here is going to die or we're going to move. He said they'll kill everybody in here and then turn the gun on themselves at this point if they don't let us go on down the road, and then they'll let us out. Ask him to pick up the mic and talk to me for a minute, please. Who am I talking to? My name's Nancy. What's yours? Hey, I know what y'all doing. Now, this is the last time my boys coming over this young car. Either y'all start moving them cars up and get out of the way, I'm finna start throwing people out. That's the last word right there. Now, y'all can do what you want to do with it.
There's a lot of pressure because if you say the wrong thing, it might make the situation more volatile. I was worried about hearing a gunshot several times when I keyed the mic to talk to him.
There's two persons in here with guns holding on us. And he's fixing to count out, and both of them are going to start shooting at the same time. Now, please move those damn cars in front of us. I really don't have no desire to die tonight. Please don't hurt anybody. Just talk to me for a minute. Hey, look here. You keep on trying to tell me what you want. anything yet. Give me a minute. We're trying to get somebody to go up to the car now to move it back. Please don't do anything right yet.
Corley didn't want anything except for the police to let him go. That was all he was asking, is just let me go. And that was something that was non-negotiable. We could not let him leave the scene.
Nancy, he just cocked the gun and is pointed at me. Corley, don't do anything yet. We're still trying to get this taken care of back here. Give us a little time. You know, you got all night. There's no big rush. The hell it ain't. It's me in here, not you.
If the shot was fired in that ambulance, our entry team was going in. Hopefully, if they shot one, we could save another one.
We don't want anybody hurt. They're making the situation worse by not letting everybody go. If they will let everybody go, we will move these cars, they can take the vehicle, and they can go. Said he'll let one person go if he moves those cars. Okay, tell him that we need for him to let the person go so we can move the cars.
I told him I wanted Tidwell to be let go because he was the one I was communicating with, and he was under the most pressure because the gun was in his head, so it was very important to get him out because he was making the situation inside where the hostages were more hysterical because of his behavior.
Nancy, please. Look, I'm begging. I've got a wife and 2 kids at home, and I'd love to see you again.
How do you respond to a statement like that? There's no way you can respond to that when a hostage feels like they're fixing to be killed and it's going to be your fault.
Corley, will you get back on and talk to me a minute? That's it. He's not talking. He's talked down.
You just sort of have to feel your way through it. In this particular circumstances, I think probably being a woman might have helped me a little bit with Corley. I don't know if it's because he'd been in prison or what.
We're going to do what we can. We're going to do everything we can to resolve this situation without anybody getting hurt. Tell him to go ahead and let you out. Listen, Nancy, I'm going to come out. I'm coming out the passenger side of the door, and I'm going straight to that patrol car in front of him. If I'm going to kill my partner. Now, we're going to take care of the car up there. I want you to come out and come back here to us. We're going to take care of the car up there. We got a police officer who's going to move the car. No, that's not the deal. The deal is I'm coming out and going straight to that car, or they're going to kill my partner. I can't have that. You're not going to put that monkey on my back to have my partner killed, and that be on my conscience the rest of my life. No way. I'm going to the car.
After more than an hour of negotiation, paramedic Tidwell was let go. According to procedure, the SWAT team had to secure him until they could verify that he was not one of the escaped prisoners.
Before I left, they told me, if we let you leave, and they don't move those police cars and let us go, we're going to kill your partner. That was real hard to swallow. I mean, I really felt deep down that I knew they were not going to move those police cars. But there was nothing I could do about it.
Whatever your name is, you going to lie to me?
At that point, we didn't think that Corley would let the rest of the hostages go, so I was just trying to buy time for our SWAT team so that they could devise a plan how they were going to rescue the hostages.
To get everybody out safely. I told you that if you will let everybody out, we will move all the police cars and you'll be on your way. Do whatever you want to do. You don't lie to me, so if I let that man out, you're going to move.
Negotiations began to get very tense. We expected them to kill a hostage, throw him out. The snipers were given a green light. They could shoot when they had a clear shot. We expected that when the shot was fired, that when one of the hostages takers was killed, the other would turn his head toward the rear or toward the front. And at that time, we would knock out the windows and shoot the second one.
I don't care whether...
I finally reached the point where I told him that if he killed the hostages, that he knew that we would kill him, and that I didn't think that he wanted to die either.
You don't want to kill yourself. You don't want to...
What I was doing is irritating him to some extent to keep him talking to me so that he wouldn't be paying any attention to what was happening outside the ambulance.
Well, that's the best you got right now, sweetheart. I mean, you know, I don't think you want to die. I don't think either one of y'all want to die. And there's no need of hurting any of those innocent people in there. We will let you drive away if you'll let all of them out.
Most hostages that are killed statistically during a hostage rescue. If we had to shoot someone, we wanted to make sure that it was the hostage takers only.
Why don't all of you come out, give up, and we can solve this situation right now? There's no need of anybody.
We fully expected and were waiting and calming ourselves for a sniper shot. We saw the paramedic reach under his arm and unlock the door.
Y'all so hell-bent on getting killed. You don't want to get killed tonight. You don't want to kill yourself.
When the paramedic jumped out the front, we were forced to initiate the tactical rescue. The side door was open and other SWAT officers jerked driver out.
Hey, what we say?
Sergeant Bishop pulled the nurse out. Then we went in, and while Corley was struggling, we got him cuffed, and the situation was over.
Corley had held Nurse Bone hostage at gunpoint throughout the 4-hour ordeal. Not a shot was fired, and all of the hostages were rescued unharmed. Corley and driver were sent back to prison and given more than 2 life sentences for escape and aggravated kidnapping.
It's a great relief when it worked out as well as it did. Vivian Bone, the nurse, grabbed me and hugged me and thanked me.
It's real hard to tell you just the kind of fear that does go through a person. It's real hard to tell you the intensity in which you have to control yourself not to just scream. You have to draw on everything that you've got, everything that you know that's within you, just to cope with the stress at that time.
I was amazed that no one got shot in the capture process. And I was amazed that I didn't get shot trying to escape. When Corley told driver to go ahead and shoot me and throw me out, he was supposed to be counting to 3 and shooting. When he got to 2, I saw the SWAT team on the side of the unit. It felt like if I could get the door open and get kind of halfway out, then they would protect me.
Negotiators in this incident really bought us a lot of time. We call them the mouth Marines because they really make it easier for the SWAT team. They get people to give up a lot of the time.
I think overall that the police department did a very good job on this whole situation. Our negotiating team worked real hard and worked real well together. I think our SWAT team did a tremendous job. It was their expertise that got these hostages out, so most of the credit, I have always said, goes to them.
I believe that we came so close to being killed that just to think about it sometimes is nerve-wracking. My most thankful part of it is that I'm alive, my partner's alive, the people that were innocent victims in it are still alive.
Everybody's in custody, nobody's hurt.